If your recovery rates are absolutely terrible at the moment and you are wanting to get yourself out of this survival mode, then this video is not only going to give you a clarity on where you're currently getting this wrong, but also give you a framework to work off every 24 hours and also give you a free resource to send you on your way to massively accelerate this process, right? So, it is not what you think, because at the end of the day, the best protein shakes, the best post-workout training meals don't move the needle. They don't move the needle that much. And the reason they don't move the needle is because it's the reason why you're choosing these things as a solution. Usually, these things as a solution is reactive. It's a reactive mindset. And when you've been in a certain state for years, decades, because you're prioritizing other people all the time, it's very easy to find yourself in this reactive state. I call this the 3 thirds. The first third, sleep. The second third, food. And the third is everything else that comes into your day. So we've got 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. For those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I help men delete injuries and build physical body armour on a system that I built called the Longevity Programme. I'm also a purple belt and I've got 7 years of grappling experience. Just pause for a second and have the ability to just think mindset, just for a second, right? Because if you feel like shit, you've got to think, well, why do I feel like shit? Why do my knees feel like shit? Why do my hips feel like shit? Why do my lower back feel like shit? Why do my shoulders feel like shit? Why do I have low energy? And it's usually because you've been prioritizing other people. You might have been prioritizing people at work. You might be prioritizing your family or your missus. However, what the result of that is you have now developed a low performance mindset for yourself, low personal standards. And this all starts with you developing a high performance mindset. And what I mean by that is you developing personal standards, right? Having some rules in which you need to follow in a 24-hour period. These rules ensure that you have high energy for training and you have high energy for thinking. You not prioritizing other people all the time, you finding time to prioritize yourself, right? This is the fundamental root cause of why you end up in these reactive survival mode cycles. So it's worth paying one little tiny bit of attention just to think about that straight away, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference. It's not just about the body. It's not just about the protein shake. It's not just about recovery of muscles. It's about the mind as well, right? Recovery of the brain. If you're doing a high octane sport, skydiving, rock climbing, jiu-jitsu, the recovery and replenishment of the neural network is equally as important. You want to be able to problem solve the next day, but also you want the body to be ready to cope with the demands. It's both, right? So high performance mindset, you want to be able to perform to the highest possible standard, both brain and body. And on this, right, the second link in the description is a free high performance fueling system, which literally takes you step by step through building this out for yourself, your own unique situation, your own food preferences, and yeah, you will absolutely love that. That second link in the description. Go and grab your copy. Okay, let's talk about the first third, sleep. It's so simple for me to sit here and go, get 8 hours in bed. However, most men will do the wrong things before they are meant to go to sleep. They will increase cortisol, increase adrenaline, increase dopamine before they go to bed, resulting in sleep time gets pushed back by an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You get this right, every morning you wake up, you will feel unbelievable. It's literally the quickest fix you could ever do in your life is by getting 8 hours in sleep, 8 hours in bed. However, it's the most commonly overlooked because it's the easiest to neglect. When everybody's in bed and you're still up doing your thing, it's very easy. It's very easy to be sinful before bed, right? I'm not going to go into the intricacies, but simplicity. The most potent form of recovery is sleep. Get this right. You can absorb so many more demands. An example of this is when I was training in the jungle, we got stood down like 16 hours before our next timing. So essentially, we got 12 to 14 hours sleep every night, because when it goes dark in the jungle, we can't move because it's tactically ineffective to move in the jungle. The amount of physical demands that we did every single day, we knew we'd recover from because we were getting insane amounts of sleep. We woke up every morning feeling superhuman, right? So that gave me a full appreciation of just how powerful this stuff is, and just how easy it is to neglect as well. Because you must feel hungover, even though you've not even drank any alcohol, if you only get 4 or 5 hours sleep every morning. And then as soon as you start the day, you're in survival mode and you're in reactive mode for the rest of the day, thinking about sleep, thinking about stimulants, thinking about the wrong types of foods. Until you get this right as a foundation, you can forget everything else, right? The second third, right, is food. However, this slide I'm going to talk about brain food. When you're working, or when your priority is problem solving or thinking, fill that part of your day up with fats and proteins. You know, lean beef, eggs, nuts. Because if you do that, there's not going to be a big rise of blood sugar. There's not going to be a lowering of blood sugar, and you're not going to be hungry. So you've literally just provided the foundation for you to just be nice and focused without any distraction. Also, the brain loves fats. The brain loves healthy fats. The second third, food again, but this is the training priority this time. So when you're approaching training, you need to start thinking about carbohydrates. You need to think about easily digestible carbohydrates for you as an individual. You need to think about simple and complex carbohydrates as you near the training session, to ensure that your muscles are filled with glycogen, and also your bloodstream has an extra layer of supply. Because without them carbohydrates that are flowing through your body, high performance in training doesn't happen. You might feel like you're training intense, but you're not. You're just running off fumes. So the priority around training should be carbohydrates. That's not to say neglect protein. However, just leave the protein until after training. The final 8 hours of this puzzle. Walking. Walking is so simple. Realigns the hips, good for your posture, calories burning, spending time in nature, sunlight, lifting heavy weights. So lifting heavy weights is probably one of the, other than sleep, it's probably one of the best ways to actually improve your recovery rates. Because if you think about the reason why you need to recover from a certain thing, it's because certain muscles are really struggling with them demands. Now, one way we can actually increase the body's ability to cope with those demands is by getting them areas stronger. So one thing I like to say to my guys is, what areas are causing you the most issues currently? And we prioritize them areas. And we train them specific areas that are causing people the most issues the most. And we basically make the weakest areas the priority, whereas most men avoid their weakest areas. So you see, by that mindset shift, bang, flip that mindset shift on its head. You can literally walk the path of somebody that is just going to turn all this around easily. However, I keep saying mindset shift because most people are getting in their own way. Having fun with a family. If you're not having fun, what's the point in doing all this stuff, right? But bring the family into it as well, because at the end of the day, when you go and do your mountain biking, when you go and do your rock climbing, you go and do jiu-jitsu, that's your thing, that's your fun. But making sure you bring your family into the fun as well at certain points during the week. Learning new things and planning for today and tomorrow, right? Hopefully these 3/3 made you realise how much time you've got in a day. The first third's sleep, right? 8 hours. You got work, which is probably another 8 hours. And you've got the other stuff. There's another 8 hours in the day which you can do all of this stuff. So you came here for a quick fix. Instead you got a system. You got the 3/3. 8 hours times 3. But you've also got a resource, a high performance fueling system, which will align with your current goals, priorities, preferences, and your unique situation, and literally take you through building out a meal plan yourself. If you take nothing from this video in your endeavours to improve your recovery, instead of thinking small, instead of thinking about a stretch, instead of thinking about a warm-up routine or a cool-down routine, just take a step back, have a breather, zoom out. Because when we start to zoom out, we start to realise that it's a bigger problem. The small issue is highlighting a bigger problem, right? And if you follow everything I've said in this video, you will turn around that bigger problem. If you need any help with it, link is in the description. Work with me on a one-to-one basis. However, hopefully you can do it all yourself. Gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow.